Guys, it's one of my favorite times of year right now. Bow season in Missouri opens September 15th each year, but it's not really until the middle or the end of October that things really start to get interesting. We had an unseasonably warm October so far, and just in the last week have we seen temperatures dipping down into like the high 30s at night and in the mornings, and it has just killed me this week to not be able to get out and go hunting until just today. And so it's October 25th. Kind of a fun fact, my first deer with a bow I killed on October 25th, 2009. So 16 years ago today. So I'm looking forward to maybe having that happen again this evening, but we'll bring that to you if that happens. What I wanted to talk about today is, the constant arguing that you see from people about things like what deer you should shoot. If someone goes out and they shoot a small buck because they just wanted to shoot something with antlers, and people say, well, if you just want the meat, then you need to shoot a doe. What that statement tells me is that you are completely out of touch with the common hunter, or the majority of hunters. If you see so many deer in a sit that are within range to shoot with a bow, that you can choose whether you want to shoot a buck, or you want to shoot a doe, or you want to shoot a fawn, or you want to shoot a mature doe, or a young doe, or a mature buck, or a young buck. You are very blessed and fortunate that you have that many deer around you at all times to shoot at or to hunt. So I think you need to stop and think for a minute before you make that comment that not everyone sees a bunch of deer every time they go hunting. Not everyone has a deer come within range every time they go hunting. Some other factors included in that are the limited time that someone has to go hunting. We all are busy. If you have children, if you have other engagements, if you have work, whatever it could be, other activities that take you away from it, you may only have a couple weekends or a couple weeks out of the entire season to get to go hunting. And, we're not all able to go every single day or several times a week and have the choice or the opportunity to pass on deer after deer after deer waiting for the one you want to shoot. So there may be times throughout the season that someone like myself, actually, there are times that I might shoot a 110-inch deer, or there are times that I may pass on a 110-inch deer to wait for something bigger if I know what's there. Maybe your inventory that your trail cameras tell you about, or there aren't any 150-inch, 180-inch deer to shoot, and you've got to take that into consideration as far as what you're waiting for. It doesn't make a lot of sense to go hunting and wait for a 180-inch deer that doesn't exist on your property. Maybe someone only sees one or two deer the whole season that they hunt. Should they not be allowed to shoot one of those deer because it isn't up to someone else's standards, or it's not up to quality deer management standards, or whatever? I don't think so. Maybe I'm in this situation right now. I have been using Q80 Exodus broadheads for the last 2 or 3 seasons and haven't been able to find anything that I could shoot yet with them. But I'd like to test those out to see how well they perform. So maybe somebody has a new arrow set up, or a new bow they're using, or new broadheads, or something like that, and they want to see how they're going to perform. And the only opportunity you're going to get is to shoot something that is maybe less than what someone else thinks you should shoot. You should be able to do that without having to feel like you're being judged by someone else who isn't up to their standards. You also have to consider people have limited access. Not everybody has countless property to hunt. Not everybody maybe even has good access to public land or knows what to do with access to public land. I personally I've hunted public land one time, and it was a managed hunt, and it was the most miserable experience I've ever had hunting. Just way too overpopulated with hunters. Props to those who like that and who do public land, and that's all they have available. Big props to them for doing it, but it's not enjoyable for everyone. So you have to consider that not everybody has hundreds or thousands of acres to hunt. And then finally, the simple fact could be that person just wants to shoot a deer, and they are not overly concerned with how many points it has, how many inches it's going to score, whether it's a half-year-old, whether it's a fawn, whether it's a mature doe, or something younger, and they just want to shoot a deer. Well, I think we all have the responsibility to be educated from a quality deer management perspective. What age of deer should we be taking out of the population? What types of deer should we be taking out of the population? What deer should we be harvesting? So on and so forth. I don't think that means that that's a end all be all and you can only shoot these deer. As long as you're doing what's within the legal confines of your state, I think you should be able to shoot whatever deer it is that you want that makes you happy, regardless of what comments you might get on social media or from friends and family. And just because one person that you see online shot a deer that maybe you didn't think they should or you don't approve of doesn't mean every single person is doing that. It's not going to ruin your hunting. And I think we all just need to take a step back sometimes and be flexible and understand that not everyone has the same situation, not everyone has the same opportunities, and we need to support one another as hunters and stick together and applaud one another when you're able to kill something that you're happy with and make a harvest that you're happy with, whether that's for meat or horns or whatever it may be, and just congratulate one another and be in it together. So again, great time of the year. I'm looking forward to hitting some antlers together here in a little bit because I think it's a good time of year for that, and probably we'll do that for the next few weeks here as we get into the beginning and the middle of November. But good luck to you guys this season. There's not any food plotting content for me to bring right now, so hopefully we'll hit some topics here that you guys are interested in as my deer season goes on, as yours goes on. Just enjoy the opportunities that you have out there. It's so easy to take for granted sometimes that just because you have a place to hunt right now and you always have, that you always will. And, there's lots of circumstances that change in the course of our lives, and it's not always guaranteed that we'll have a place to hunt or an opportunity to. So enjoy it. Congratulate one another when you see someone having success. Thank you for watching Farming for Whitetails. We'll see you next time.